On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with John Jastremski in for the vacationing Paulie Howard here on a Thursday. I'm live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. We do have a 3-hour banger lined up for you today. Who says the middle of July is a dead time in sports? Not us. Plenty to get into today. We'll kick into the second half of the Major League Baseball season throughout the show today. It begins tonight with only one game on the slate. World Cup, the Open Championship now, round one pretty much over with. College football, NFL on the program today. Some great guests. JJ, it's great to have you on the program today. How are you?
Mitch, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. I survived the last 48 hours in Philadelphia for Major League Baseball All-Star, so got some good access there. Enjoyed hitting an outright on the Derby. I'm going to show my degeneracy a little bit here. I love betting on a home run derby. I think it's amazing. I think it's fantastic. It's great theater. And when you have an entire city rooting against your betting pick, it makes it that much more sweet when you're walking out a winner. But yeah, man, let me say, I filled in with Paulie about a month ago. So now I get to complete the dream here of being a part of the Follow the Money show. And as I texted you, you know, it's a well-oiled machine. You're humming 85 in the left lane, and that's my goal. Let's just not crash the car, baby. Let's go.
We're throwing 105 like Jacob Mizorowski here. So you know what? I've never been to an All-Star game, Major League Baseball, or a home run derby. Was that your first time, or are you a vet at this kind of thing? Because I still think, I mean, as a kid, obviously, that's a bucket list thing. As an adult, I think it would be pretty spectacular as well. How was it then the last couple of days?
Okay, so this was my third Derby.
Okay.
I've been to the Derby, the classic one in 2008 Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium. I was in Seattle a couple of years ago for work, and I went to Philly this year. Here's my take on it. It's like a great convention, you know, Mitch. Like, there's so many people in baseball that you run into that, you know, you don't get to see. So, like, the Super Bowl has that feel. The All-Star game kind of has that feel. So, professionally, amazing. From like a fan perspective and a watchability standpoint, it's so much more clear and it's so much more obvious. And this is really taking shape over the last few years. Dude, the Derby is so much more fun than the game. The game stinks now.
100%.
The game is just awful. Nobody plays. Nobody cares. All you need to know about the fans, nobody left the ballpark for the Derby. Everybody stayed until the bitter end, right? I know Schwarber was involved, but still, nobody left. Everybody was there. Mitch, I would say by the time we hit the bottom of the seventh inning, a third of the crowd at Citizens Bank already said, sayonara, I'm hitting the exits. I'm beating the traffic. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will.
No, that's no good. And, you know, we talked about this a lot yesterday, the aftermath of the All-Star game and what it looked like on television. And Matt Vasgersian came on the program, and even like he called the Home Run Derby for Netflix on Monday night, and he loved the new format. And I don't think he was being biased, as did I. I thought it was great. The All-Star game, though, this has always been like the one All-Star game that's still meaningful somehow. Like the players have cared pretty much throughout our entire lifetime. Forget about it with the NFL, NBA, NHL. Nobody cares. Players, teams, us fans, that doesn't matter. Baseball, again, forever has been a big deal until I think now the last couple of years. And it's going to be, I think it's like trending down big time. And that's a shame, JJ. I don't know if it's ever going to come back. And that kills me to say it.
Well, and you know what's killed it too? Not to be old man yelling at cloud, but you know this, Mitch. Like, there was a time where you didn't have interleague play. So
Yeah.
like a specific matchup, for example, like I don't know, we didn't have it in this game, but let's say it's I don't know, Shohei Ohtani matching up with Cam Schlittler, which by the way you'll see this weekend when the Yankees take on the Dodgers. Like, hey, you're not getting that until the World Series, where it's like, ooh, I kind of want to see what this looks like. This is super cool. Interleague has kind of diluted that. And listen, it was hokey. It was definitely corny. I was probably in the minority on this. I kind of like that they played for home field advantage. I know it's arbitrary and it's stupid and it makes no sense. Maybe that makes me an idiot. I don't know, but I always kind of like that dynamic to the game because you had some random from the Colorado Rockies or some random from the Kansas City Royals determining who's getting home field advantage in the World Series. And I'm like, you know what? It's the middle of summer. I'm kind of here for this. Let's go. But I don't think that competition changed anything. The only thing that helps this All-Star game compared to the other three, the gameplay is still not compromised. Like these guys are throwing 100.
Yep.
They're trying to hit it as hard as they can. Just not the watch it used to be. That's all. We got to kind of accept it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Okay, so a couple of things here. Round one, again, I think pretty much in the books right now, Open Championship. My God, they've been playing for like 14 hours. I think a couple of stragglers are still out there to wrap it up on like 17 and 18. So you play a lot of golf. You have a couple of bets on the tournament as well. I got probably too many bets overall, to be honest. Let me ask you this. As somebody who really loves this game, you love betting on it as well. At one point today, this is basically front nine for Rory McIlroy, and then I think it was like through hole 11. Justin Ray with a couple of incredible tweets with this. He was, Rory now, was 155th out of 156 golfers with putting, a pro, with the shots gained putting. Also, it was a 257th round of his championship career, major championship career. Only the fourth time he has made bogey or worse on multiple par fives in one of those rounds. Why is this a thing, in your opinion? Like, Scotty, obviously, it's been a big talking point for him forever, and this just pops up every once in a while, like today with Rory.
It's all mental. That's my read on it, Mitch, because we know Rory McIlroy can go and drain putts and be an outstanding putter. And listen, it is fickle. It's kind of like with relievers. And not that golfers are necessarily relievers, but you kind of see it in baseball. They use a cross-sport analogy where you say to yourself, hold on a second, why was this guy a year ago like the most dominant reliever the sport has to offer? And then the next year he rolls out with like a 4.85 ERA or a 5 ERA.
Yeah,
and
well said.
Some of it might be mental. Some of it might be mechanical. And I think with putting, it's the same sort of vibe and the same sort of deal. Like you roll up, you're on the wrong side of the bed. You're not reading the greens as well as you should, and you find yourself in a little bit of trouble. But, it's interesting because normally these British Opens, from a weather perspective, it's soggy, it's wet. We're not talking about dryish conditions that you're normally getting in the 50 states when you're playing throughout the course of the summer. You're kind of getting that, though, with this British field. That's why, a lot of people, I think, are surprised that DeChambeau, who never, ever, Mitch, plays well in Europe. Like, it's just his game is not conducive. It is not set up to go and play links golf. Why did Bryson go and have a big first round and finds himself at the very least in the top 10 at the top of the leaderboard? I think because the conditions are not playing the way normal British Open conditions are playing. Now, is that going to be the case by Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Who knows? But a lot of heat in Europe, a lot of dry temperatures in Europe. And maybe that's like throwing off our usual perception of guys that we would normally like to do well at this event.
Oh, that entire golf course was drenched in sunshine today. I mean, just soaking it in the entire time. It looked beautiful on TV, obviously. And you're right. And also that I wanted to bring this up. I'm glad you brought up Bryson DeChambeau. I heard Matt Youmans talking about this. In fact, it was with us on this show, and he's brought it up on Primetime as well. He does not like betting matchups in golf tournaments at all. He said, look, you need to stick to what you're good at as a bettor, and he's gotten fried on matchups before. The one matchup that I think I'm going to go into retirement on betting golf matchups because I got killed fading Colin Morikawa at the Masters when his back popped up. All these reports, oh, my God, look out, he might. And he was brilliant, especially on Sunday, and I got absolutely smoked. I found one matchup fading Bryson DeChambeau, and it was with Joaquin Niemann, who was playing great golf. He's 6 over. I'm dead. I laid 37 cents with that. I'm never betting on golf matchup again ever in my entire life. DeChambeau has been awful. And he comes out there. If he doesn't bogey 18, he's got a chance to be the first-round leader until everybody was overtaken by Jackson Suber late. Incredible.
I wouldn't have talked you out of that. I understand Maddie's advice, and I'm not trying to pretend to be an expert. Listen, there are the geniuses that work at VSiN here that have models and have mathematical projections. This is just the Syracuse education with a little bit of a pea brain, and a guy who kind of just takes what I see. I take some advanced metrics. I put it all together. That's the JJ secret sauce. I would have looked at the JJ secret sauce, Mitch, and I would have said, wow, fading Bryson DeChambeau. Smart move. All about it. I love where your head is at. Sometimes it's the analytics, sometimes the old school, new school, whatever the approach might be, can't account for what we saw here as kicking off the British Open. I had skepticism with Morikawa this week, and I know he went into this thing. He's won a British Open. It's a course that's set up for his game. I actually put Goddard up in a matchup, and I put Cameron Young in a matchup here against the hometown boy, Tommy Fleetwood. So those are the two that I have going. Cameron Young off to a good start. Yeah. We like that. Goddard's got some work to do against Morikawa.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm on a couple of things with Morikawa. And full disclosure here, I did bring this up earlier this week. Jackson Suber is a guy that I bet almost immediately. I bet him at 350 to 1. I did tell the story. I was limited to $31 on that bet. And look, I mean, do I like having the guy who's the first round leader? Not particularly, because it's very difficult to go wire to wire unless your name's Wyndham Clark at the U.S. Open. But he's in a pretty good spot. Will I be mad at cashing a ticket that pays about $11,000? No. If he would win, obviously I would take that. But also, I had a little FOMO today as he's at 2 under, and the leaders in the clubhouse were like at 4. I'm like, if I have like 6 guys to lead after the first round, and I don't have Suber, and he was 27 to 1. And I put a little pizza money on him at 27 to 1 to lead because I thought to myself, if he leads the first round but doesn't win, I'm not going to be happy with myself. So that one looks good. Nobody can catch him right now the way it looks, and I don't think that's been graded yet because, again, a couple of those guys were still out on the course. So lost the matchup the way it looks with Neiman, but the outright on the first round with Suber, pretty good. I'll take 27 to 1, JJ.
I would expect you to take 27 to 1. And looking at some of the plays you have, Mr. Mitch, not too shabby a round one for you. I wish I could say the same about Justin Rose and Matthew Fitzpatrick.
I know.
Oh, disgusting.
I know. We will hit on the second half of the Major League Baseball season coming up next. We do have one game on the slate tonight. A 16-3 angle applies to the game, and JJ loves an updated win total. Find out who it is next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in. I'm live in Las Vegas. Paulie Howard's on vacation, co-hosting today, John Jastremski. And by the way, in 15 minutes, we'll do a little World Cup. Malcom Bamford's going to join the program. JJ, you have been in the Circa contest before. Now, how about this for a prize pack? Winners Circle Proxy Service, always out here in the booth throughout the entire summertime. And VSiN giving away 2 incredible prize packages that will put 2 lucky fans into the world's biggest football contest for free. One winner is going to get a $1,000 entry into Circa Survivor. The other, a $1,000 entry into Circa Million. Both winners will also receive a full season Winners Circle Proxy Service, a VSiN Studio Tour, and a free month of VSiN Pro. Enter by Sunday, August 2nd for your chance to win. Here's where you go. winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN to enter today. That's winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN. You were almost in the money a couple of years back in what million, JJ?
Oh, my goodness. It still makes me sick to this day, Mitch. We choked. We had a week 17. We needed like a couple winning weeks to bring it home. And I'll famously never forget, I took the Jets, who I'm not a Jet fan. Even though I'm a New Yorker, I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan. We'll get to that later on in the show. But it was a Mike White game against Seattle. And I just vividly remember getting absolutely slaughtered in the late afternoon window. And I was like, wow, this is where the dream goes to die right here. I'll ask you, because you have a sense for this. You have a feel for it. I want to say we finished that year. I don't have the numbers in front of me. It was definitely north of 17 or 18 games over 500. We were impressive. We were very, very impressive. What is like the magic number percentage wise for me to like look at it throughout the year and say, hey, I'm going to cash if I go over 62%?
I would think if you here at Million, because the payouts go down so many people, and this year they're pushing for like 6,000 people to get in, on pace for that. Well, I would think if you hit 60%, you're in the neighborhood. Maybe it would take 60, 61, 62%, I guess. I'll give you an example. My best year ever that I had was at the Super Contest at the Westgate. This goes back 3 or 4 years ago now. I was at around 64%, and that was only, I think at the time, tied for 18th, but I had 3 weeks to go. In the money, tied for 18th. I was like a point and a half out of like top 5. I put up my only 0 and you want to talk about choking? I put up my only 0 and 5 the entire season in week 16. I finished out of the money. A killer.
Oh, that's disgusting.
No, it's horrible.
I feel for you on that. My heart breaks thinking about it right now. But you know what, Mitch? And listen, we obviously give our insight. We give our intel. I love betting the NFL. It's my favorite sport to bet. The NFL, college football, you name it, college basketball. I love college basketball too, which is a story for a different day. I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like the NFL has gotten harder and sharper and sharper and sharper. Am I like hallucinating?
No.
You've been doing this longer than I've been doing this, but I feel like I used to be able to just fade the public and it was like a guaranteed 60%. Can't do that anymore. People have gotten too smart. The books have gotten too smart. The public has too much information. It's a disaster.
It's always been a very difficult sport to beat over. I mean, like long term, like winning, like trying to retire betting the NFL. Not exactly easy. I mean, they're building these casinos and these sports books for a reason, obviously out here in Las Vegas on a continual basis. But no, I don't disagree. I think it's gotten harder over the years as well. So Major League Baseball tonight. You can explain this on the East Coast. Why did the Mets-Phillies game, it's the only game on the board, why did this get bumped up now to 6:10 Eastern time?
So I'm here in New York, as you know. The air quality, because of the Canadian wildfires, is off the rails. To the point where, like, I walked out of SNY, where I also work. I do our nightly sports show. I'll be there later on this evening. And it was like 11 o'clock, and it felt like the scene in The Day After Tomorrow. Ooh. Like, just like haze, smoke, tough to breathe, disgusting, disgusting weather conditions. So I don't know what the difference between 6 and 7 o'clock may be. Mm-hmm. I assume the weather and the air quality in Philadelphia is only going to get worse as the day goes along. I'm not an expert on this. I don't have the meteorology papers to back it up, only the broadcast journalism degree at Syracuse, Mitch. So can't give you the weather breakdown on it, but I could just tell you as a regular average Joe, it's disgusting. So what does that mean for the total in this game? Mm-hmm. I know Aaron Nola has absolutely stunk for the Philadelphia Phillies. That remains to be seen. Believe it or not, Mitch, I have a take on this game. I can't believe it because it's a standalone baseball game, and the Mets have been the biggest joke in Major League Baseball this season. I think it is an awful spot to take the Phillies. I really do. Nola's ERA is hovering around 6. The Phillies had all of these guys involved in the All-Star Game festivities getting dragged in this direction, getting dragged in that direction. And you look at the way this line has come down a little bit, opened in the 130, 135 range. Now you're seeing it at $125 over at Circa Sports. I know betting on the Mets has been an insanely bad proposition, and I'm sure you're going to give me the numbers and the facts on this, but I'm here to tell you, buddy boy, John Jastremski will be betting the Mets to kick off the second half of the year. Let's go.
Wow. Totally slumping before the break, like they have been the entire season. You're down. Now, maybe some fans bet their favorite team every single game. I don't know. But if you've been betting the Mets every single game this entire year for the same unit, you're down more than $3,200, like on a $100 bet for the year. You're down more than 32 units on this team. So, and I mean, I don't know what that was against Boston before the break. That was just, it got uglier and uglier the way it felt to me.
Well, Mitch, they had the Mets favored on Friday and Saturday of that series.
You make sense of it. No, I thought Boston was an autoplay.
Yeah, and you know what? Friday, shame on me. I bet the Mets. Saturday and Sunday, I wisened up, and I actually took the Red Sox, which I'm really proud of myself for. Friday, I was like, all right, the Red Sox are due to lose a game. McClain is throwing the ball well. I thought they'd win a low-scoring game, and, that clearly didn't happen. And remember, that was when the Red Sox had all the travel issues.
That's right.
Because they were coming from Chicago. They were stuck on the tarmac. They didn't land at LaGuardia Airport until like 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. And yet the Mets looked like the team that was out to lunch, not the Red Sox. But I feel like, and you follow how they calculate this stuff and how they go into, the metrics of making these lines. Just the Mets have continued to be overvalued game after game after game after game. It's like, guys, wake up and smell the coffee. They stink.
Yeah, no, you're right. They really do. My God, it seems like every other year with this team, by the way. They go for it. They spend a ton of money, and they're an absolute disaster. I will point this out. So you mentioned, and I by the way, Nola to me is just, I don't even know. He's so bad. But his home ERA in 8 starts is 6.81 JJ on the year. The whip is almost 1.7 on the season when he's pitching at Philly. In his career against Soto, Soto has some pretty good numbers against him with 7 extra base hits, 5 home runs, 17 walks. The problem here is that Juan Soto is like 2-1 in that neighborhood to hit a home run tonight. That's unplayable. Maybe if you wanted to do hits, runs, RBIs over 1.5 tonight, figuring that he will get a walk maybe because that's priced at minus 150. Maybe he walks a couple times. They bat him around and he scores. But also maybe Nola over with the earned runs against this team. He has like okay numbers against the Mets, but it's a guy that is one of the most untrustworthy starters in the entire sport, in my opinion, JJ.
I think that's completely spot on. And he's just clearly not the guy he once was. Yep. And we'll get to a future I have a little bit later on in the show involving the Philadelphia Phillies. If Aaron Nola is starting a playoff game for the Phillies, Mitch, there is a major, major problem there.
You're right.
That means either one of their big 3 guys got seriously hurt and they didn't do what they needed to do here at the deadline to go and get themselves another starting pitcher. You can't look at the back of the baseball card and say, oh, I'm getting that version of Aaron Nola. You can't let your eyes fool you. He stinks. Nope. He cannot be trusted. Curiously, would you get involved? And I like the Mets tonight, but the total in this game, 9.5. The reason I have some skepticism here and why I'm laying off of it, Christian Scott for the Mets has thrown the ball really well.
Yeah.
He misses bats. He's gotten into a nice little groove. And I mentioned the Philly bats and a bunch of guys doing all-star festivities. Where's their minds at? What's their focus? First game coming out of the break. That's what kind of gave me some pause as far as this particular bet goes. But there's no way in the world I would bet the under, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of correlated here, right? You're making the case here for the Mets. And I think the point is here, a long couple of days here for Phillies players, and now they're right back at it again tonight. They don't get that extra day off like everybody else does in Major League Baseball. Are they really ready to play this game tonight? And you would think that if that comes into fruition, JJ, that means that the sticks are probably not going to be lively, and it's going to be more than likely a low-scoring game. That is unless the Mets bats absolutely whack Nola around and they get like 8 runs on their own. Who knows? But in the first 3 series, this is from Steve Mackin and VSiN.com. So post All-Star break, first 3 series back, games with totals higher than 9 have gone under 57% since 2016, and that is a sample size of more than 600 games. So not bad.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You know why it makes perfect sense? Think about it, Mitch. You're a hitter. It's so routine-based. It's so routine-based. You see this like when the postseason starts. You see it at the start of the year. All the weather ends up being a factor, and weather comes into play in a lot of these East Coast games where it's freezing cold outside.
Sure.
Guys haven't swung the bats for a couple of days. Makes perfect sense.
Yep. World Cup up next. Spain, Argentina for all the marbles. How do we approach the third place game of last soccer better? Malcom Bamford coming up here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, so we're down to the final 2 matches of the World Cup. Third place match on Saturday. The finale is going to be on Sunday. Mitch Moss along with John Jastremski here. He's in for Paulie Howard. He is out today and tomorrow vacationing. And we go out to the Progressive Guest Line for more insight and betting analysis here on the 2 matches. Malcom Bamford joins the program, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast. Malcom, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Good evening, gents. I am a little bit better than I was 23 hours ago. Slightly less raw, but I can take you through the anatomy of what happened last night if you'd like me to.
Well, I was going to say, I think the whole world has been ranting about what England did there in the second half, the last 24 hours. We might be all ranted out, I guess. It was despicable what they did. I'm not even over it, to be honest.
That's the thing. Normally, after a game like that, there's 4 or 5 different opinions, or you might tell me something different to John. Not this time. Nope. Everybody, 100% of the people know what happened. My wife and kids sitting here knew what happened. You don't need to ask me. It was just baffling. It was really baffling. And here's the thing. Thomas Tuchel was given the job specifically for that 30 minutes. That was his job. Not for the last 2 years, not to qualify. Any England manager they've qualified bloodlessly for years on end. They always win every game and qualify. They make their way through. Gareth Southgate was doing a great job. They made their way through the group games. It's really easy to stand Harry Kane at one end and put Jude Bellingham in the middle. Why Thomas Tuchel was given the job was because England couldn't get over the line in the final 30 minutes of a knockout game in which they were in front. And last night, they got in front in a knockout game, and Thomas Tuchel completely fluffed his lines. Absolutely fluffed it. That was his one job, was that 30 minutes. And he just got it so wrong. And it was obvious. I mean, you must have been the same as me. You were screaming at the TV. It was just apparent what was going to happen. You could see it coming a mile off. Once they equalised as well, England then had no options left. They'd taken off all the forwards. They'd put on all the big lads, and they'd stymied themselves. I don't know why you would change what you'd done. For 65 minutes, England worked really hard, executed a plan, and got 1-0 up. Why wouldn't you just carry on? Their 2 centre-backs are on yellow cards, and they're famously a bit of a liability. Put some pace up front, turn them round, get them running towards their own goal, win a throw-in, win a corner, win a free kick, maybe draw that second yellow. It was cowardly might be too strong a word. It was incredibly timid, if you want to be kind. And yeah, they ripped what they sowed, unfortunately. You could see it coming a mile off.
I'll roll with timid. I like the sound of that, Malcolm. Now, you got to talk me through this because what Argentina has been able to do at the end of these games is absolutely electric. We saw it against England. We saw it against Egypt. You see it against Cape Verde. Like, what is it about this team? Like, it reminds me of, use a cross-sport analogy, the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes a couple of years ago, just pulling off these games out of the fire. The dynasty Yankees, they're never out of a game. Why is Argentina, simply put, never out of these games?
There is some kind of witchcraft at stake. I think you're right. There's some sort of mystique about them. Lionel Messi carries the aura and the mystique. And I don't think Scaloni, the coach, has actually covered himself in glory. Because those games that you mentioned, the Switzerland game too, he's actually coached, he's planned and coached 3 defeats. And then it's only when, like, plan A hasn't worked for Argentina in 4 consecutive games. So I don't think they're doing an awful lot right. It's only when plan B comes in, which is, we've got 20 minutes left, we better get busy. That's when things have started happening. Now, actually, their substitutes worked last night. England's didn't. The Argentine substitutes really worked. They don't panic. Tournament experience is a huge thing. We talked a couple of weeks ago when the USA got knocked out, and we said that there's only ever a tiny pool of teams win this. You get the odd shock. You get the odd upset result. You don't get an upset tournament winner. Argentina won this 4 years ago. They were up against it in various games. That tournament experience, that constant churn in the South American qualifying section, which is a really tricky section to get through, that stands them in such good stead that they know with 14 minutes left, they can still do it. There was no panic at all. It was self-belief. Egypt, Cape Verde, Switzerland, England. That doesn't happen 4 times by accident. Now, whether or not Spain will take their foot off the throat, that's a different question because Spain strangled France the other night. So remains to be seen whether or not they can do it to Argentina.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so what do you think that means overall? We're talking to Malcom Bamford here. He's on the Progressive Guest Line, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast. The three-way numbers now, Spain about plus 125. They're $1.50, $1.60, maybe a little bit higher than that to lift the trophy. Argentina plus 265-ish on the three-way. The draw plus 205. Total 2 juiced slightly to the over. Do you have a best bet here? Could be cards, could be something else, Malcolm.
I like Spain on the money line.
Okay.
Spain and France had separated themselves at the top of the tournament. They were in a tier of their own. And you can't fail but be impressed with how Spain didn't allow France in the game at all. We talked about, everyone knew, Haaland, Mbappe, Dembele, Barcola, Doué, this terrifying front four of France, cut the supply line, and that was it. Spain just harvest possession the entire time. They don't allow you the ball. And because Argentina, like I say, I haven't been that impressed with their plan A. They have found themselves up against it in 4 consecutive games. If they find themselves up against it here, which is most likely, Spain are clearly the better team. I don't know if Spain gives them a chance. Spain won't do what England did last night.
No.
We saw an example of it on Tuesday. Spain had the lead against France. And did we see the big grandstand finish from France where they were knocking the door down for the last 20 minutes? The absolute opposite. Spain controlled possession, territory. Control is the key word. So if Spain get in front, which I think they will, the Argentinian defence is still dodgy. The aging, like I say, the 2 centre-backs, well, not just the 2 centre-backs, in fact, all of them, are slightly calamitous in terms of how they go about defending. If Spain get in front, I don't see them lifting their foot off the Argentinian throats the way Cape Verde, Switzerland, Egypt, and England did. I just don't see it. So Spain on the money line, for me, seems a pretty straightforward pick.
Okay, Malcolm, help us out here. Third place game. So you had 2 teams that had big dreams that got devastated. France thoroughly outplayed by Spain. England gets their hearts broken by the Argentinians. Okay, they're matching up Saturday. Motivation angle, betting angle. How do we make sense of this? We're going to see a whole lot of backups that we know. Mm-hmm. How do we figure out this third place game?
Can you imagine being in that squad now, in that hotel or on the plane or on the bus? You just want to go home. Like, everybody's been away for a long time, arduous season, into an arduous tournament, as you say, hearts broken. Oh, and by the way, we've got to go and play a meaningless exhibition game on Saturday night. It's absolute nonsense. I looked at the trends, however, and the trends, unsurprisingly, are for goals. 5 out of the last 6 have gone over 2.5. 3 of those went over 3.5. 2 of those went over 4.5. And both teams scored in 4 out of 6. So as you'd imagine, there's goals. Largely because I don't think they're training. They don't care. You say it's all the backups. So we'll see players who've never seen the pitch for England, Kobbie Mainoo, Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, players like that. But they're not training. They're not planning for what system France are going to play because they don't care. France won't be planning for what system England want to play because they don't care. So I think goals seems like the obvious angle. Both teams to score and 2.5. You can tag that together. The key angle, though, is I think Kylian Mbappe is still live in the Golden Boot race, and he will want to win that. France will want to win him that little trinket as well. He's tied with Messi on the tiebreaker, which is assists. So if you tag on Mbappe to score a goal, there's going to be goals in the game, we think. If you tag on Mbappe to get one of them, that suddenly makes all those both teams to score over 2.5. All those little same game parlays suddenly become quite an attractive plus price money when you put Mbappe in to score. Both teams to score over 2.5 with an Mbappe goal is plus wins 162. You then add in France to win. That gets you to plus 320.
Okay.
So I think you can cobble together some stuff if you're quite crafty. I quite like France to score a penalty at 4-1 as well. Just lead into that Mbappe angle because, like I say, no one really cares about this game. So I think it's going to be played in a bit of a carnival atmosphere. Really, everyone just wants to go home.
Malcolm, great stuff as always. We have loved you joining us throughout the entire World Cup. Can't thank you enough. Best of luck with the 2 games that we have coming up this weekend, and enjoy them.
Cheers, boys. Good luck. Thank you.
Back at you. Malcom Bamford, Sports Gambling Podcast, and the calendar never stops when it comes to sports betting. Sharp Plays covers it all. They've been winning for 15 straight years. Documented logs posted publicly at the website, sharpplays.com. When the Sharp Plays move, sportsbooks take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, respected, watched, feared. Start winning with them at sharpplays.com. We'll talk about some ceilings and floors for teams in the NFC East coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in today, watching on YouTube TV, listening Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. I'm in Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. John Jastremski co-hosting today. He is in New York. Paulie Howard is on vacation. I had you pegged as a Giants guy. I'm wrong. We can expand on this tomorrow. You're a Dolphins guy. I think there's a great backstory to this. And I got to be honest, but you talk a lot of NFL with your other gigs that you have, and you talk a lot of NFC East, and the Giants are obviously located there and how big they are. There's a lot to like about this team. Not, the Harbaugh thing is the most obvious thing that you can get to, but I like the talent quite a bit. If Dart stays healthy, I think they can pop this year. I would assume Neighbors is going to be a question mark the way it looks, but Scadaboo, imagine that he can come back and maybe be close to healthy. I like the talent on defense. The problem is this: they have another difficult schedule again this year. It's when you look at their opponents' win totals for this upcoming season, it's the 9th hardest schedule going into the year. It seems like they always have a difficult schedule for some reason. But there's also this. And I fall for making the popular bet once in a while, but I usually like to avoid it. This is a tweet from Ben Fowkes. The Giants over 7.5 wins is the most bet NFL win total at BetMGM so far. 91% of the wagers and 94% of the money on the Giants over 7.5. That just, I can't fall for it, man. What do you think?
It's super, super frightening. Here's my take on this, Mitch. I think a lot of the betting public is looking at the Giants and they're trying to make the parallel that it's the New England Patriots from a year ago, where New England had the young quarterback. New England was terrible the year before, but coaching and infrastructure is just going to change everything. And to the Patriots' credit, they had a monster season. They won a division. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl. The reason why, to me, Mitch, this doesn't hit and why I'm not subscribing to this theory that the Giants are going to be last year's Patriots, the Patriots' schedule a year ago was an absolute joke. 2 games against the Jets, 2 games against the Dolphins, who were not any good. They played the entire NFC South. I mean, that's a great place to go and get a bunch of wins. And you throw in the fact that the Patriots in the AFC got a last place schedule. So I don't see the same ease within the schedule for the Giants. And the NFC East, look, I know Philadelphia loses A.J. Brown, but there's a baseline of what that team does, it feels like, on a year in and year out basis. I hate that I'm going to be on this team because I'm never, ever, ever, Mitch, on this team. But believe it or not, I really like the Dallas Cowboys going into the season.
Here we go.
I think they're
okay.
I know, man. I know. It sickens me because you're paying a tax, right? Like there's the Yankee tax, there's the Laker tax, and John Jastremski is going to go line up and pay the Dallas Cowboy tax. I get it. But I think their offense is super prolific. I think they're going to be much improved on defense. Full year, Quinnen Williams anchoring that defensive line, getting Caleb Downs, who was my favorite player in the draft, who I think is going to anchor that secondary. I'm very bullish on Dallas going into the year. And the team that I'm going to have a really hard time with is Washington, because 2 years ago, Jaden Daniels looked like he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, where it's like, wow, the sky's the limit for this kid. I bet they're under like crazy a year ago. I hated their offseason. They were such an obvious regression team. And I made a lot of money betting some all unders throughout the course of the year. But this year, I can't make sense of what Washington is. But to get back to the Giants, are they going to be much better coached? Yes. Are they going to be improved from the dumpster fire they were a year ago? Yes. Are they probably going to be a little bit better in close games? Yes. Is Jackson Dart playing 17 games? Are we sure Jackson Dart is 3/4 or 4/5 to how good Drake May is with the New England Patriots? I, for one, am not. I think the Giants, Mitch, are like a 7-10, 8-9 football team. Improved, spunky, competitive, moving in the right direction. I'm not ready to make the leap that they're going to be last year's Patriots. I can't do it.
Yeah, the schedule is too difficult. I mean, what's their absolute ceiling if everything goes like perfectly for the team? Like Harbaugh comes, he hits, Neighbors maybe comes back, and when he does, and that's a big question mark at this point, he stays fully healthy the entire year. I guess you can say that about every team, right? Like, is Dart going to play 17 games? Is Scadaboo going to come back? Like, the ceiling might be 10, 11, and like Harbaugh 10. In the mix to win the coach of the year.
10.
But I think everything has to go one way for them, and that means everything's breaking right, and that's just too big of an if, or too many ifs, I should say, to really get involved.
10 is, I think, the ceiling for the team.
Okay.
But again, I think there's a baseline to it, right? Like, they're in the wrong division. Like, I think a lot of people look for those worst to first turnarounds. You want to identify the bad division. Like, by no means am I suggesting I like the Tennessee Titans talent-wise more so than I like the New York Giants. But I think the AFC South, despite the fact that Houston and Jacksonville were playoff teams a year ago, I got questions with Jacksonville and whether or not they can go and do it again. I love Houston's defense, but C.J. Stroud stinks. Their offensive line stinks. There's blow-up potential there. Like, worst to first, the team that profiles the best for this, I don't know if you feel this way. I am going to be in on New Orleans going into this year.
Oh, I'm already in.
I really loved what I saw from Shuck. I thought he was terrific. I know a lot of people like Atlanta. Like, a lot of these sharp bettors out there, Mitch, are lining up to go and take the Falcons. Has anybody seen any Falcon quarterback situation? Tua, I don't care what weapons are around him. He's shot. He can't move. He can't throw the ball. He's a walking concussion. All of a sudden now Tua is going to come back and be a top 10 quarterback. No, thank you. And Michael Penix looks like he can't play and can't stay healthy. So that immediately rules me out on the Atlanta Falcons, despite everybody talking him up. New Orleans, though, I'm out on Tampa Bay. Carolina, to me, is iffy. That's the team I'm identifying, Mitch Moss. Let's go here.
We're on the same page. I have a couple of bets in pocket already with the Saints. I have over 7.5 wins. I think I laid 20 cents, maybe a quarter with that. And the other one is a little bit shy of 3-1 overall to win the division. Those numbers are all still available, by the way. You're right. I mean, they're not that division's not frightening at all. Like, have I grown to really like Baker Mayfield? Sure. Does that mean they're going to win 9-10 games next year? By no means whatsoever. And you're right. Like, I think there would be a lot to like with Atlanta if the quarterback situation was better than what it is going into the year. I love Kevin Stefanski. I thought that he was the two-time coach of the year in Cleveland with that ownership group and that front office was dealt a bad hand. Like, that guy can be pretty good. And Carolina won the division by default last year. So you're telling me that with a second-year quarterback, by the way, that's the parallel, right? Tyler Shuck is the second-year quarterback like Drake May was last year. This is a weak division. It's a super doable schedule. I think it's the second easiest schedule in the entire league behind Detroit. Kellen Moore might be a really good offensive head coach. They drafted wide receiver top 10 overall. They bring in, and I'm going to screw this up 1,000 times because we called him Etienne for his entire career. Now it's Etienne, the running back from Jacksonville, which is only going to help, obviously. So I'm right there with you, man. I think the Saints are going to be players, and I think they're going to be dangerous next year.
And that, to me, is going to be a fun, little interesting battle to watch in the NFC because Jackson Dart obviously got all of the fanfare. He's a New York quarterback. He got off to a rocking start. Tyler Shuck kind of was laying in the weeds. Anybody could have had him. And by the end of the year, it was a fair debate to say, hey, I'd rather have Tyler Shuck starting for my team than Jackson Dart.
Not going to disagree.
Considering he had absolutely nothing to work with.
Yep.
I think Dart's got a lot of it factor about him. I also think there's a lot of recklessness to his game. A lot of recklessness from turnovers that we saw, which can be cleaned up as a rookie. But, Mitch, if he is going to be a guy that's going to start 16 to 17 games, he cannot be playing the position like he is a man possessed. I mean, he was disturbing with some of the unnecessary hits that he was taking throughout the course of the year. Giants have got to be coaching him up throughout the course of the summer saying, hey, guess what, buddy boy? Let's protect the body. We need you to play.
Has to. I mean, that's why the saying NFL stands for not for long. It has been around for as long as I can remember. You take 3 shots to the head in the first 8 weeks of the season, bye-bye. Concussions are going to pile up, and you're going to be out. So as a Dolphins guy, we'll expand on some more NFL later on in the show and tomorrow as well. Steve Makinen in the VSiN Pro Football Betting Guide, JJ, he has a ton of great write-ups from him, but he includes, again, no opinions here, all numbers-based power ratings. He has Arizona as the worst team in football, 1 point behind the Jets and Miami. So he has your Dolphins and the Jets tied for the second worst teams, or leading into the year, 1 point ahead of Arizona. Does that feel about right to you?
Feels about right. Can't argue it. I mean, Miami has gutted the roster. They said goodbye to Jalen Waddle. They said goodbye to a couple of other high-priced veterans, and they're building this baby from the ground up. I think the Jets are getting a little bit too much preseason love. I mean, has anybody been following what's going on with the whole Geno Smith debacle? Did anybody watch Aaron Glenn coach last year?
Oh, boy.
The Jet win total is just screaming under. But, yeah, bottom 4, bottom 5 team in the league, yeah, that sounds about right.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Up next, we're going to turn our attention to the NBA Summer League. Games on the board tonight to bet on, Rookie of the Year, other futures as well. Julian Edlow on the program. I added a win total already for next year. I'm not afraid to tie up money on a number that I absolutely love, and I'll run it by Julian coming up next here on VSiN.